Well, 4 of the 7 games completed on this Easter long weekend as we check the winners so far, and they haven't been winners in all cases. Essendon by 27 points in an upset at Waverley Park. Footscray by 39 points at the MCG. And in the biggest upset of the day, Sydney by 21 points at Princes Park. And a draw, yes, a draw. 2 goals kicked in the last minute last night. One by West Coast, the other by Brisbane, up at Carrara.
Now it's time to check the CUB AFL ladder.
Make some sense of this. It's a bit difficult because some teams have played 5 games and a few have played just 3. But at the moment on match ratio, it's Collingwood, Footscray, Carlton, Fitzroy, Geelong, St Kilda. The big mover yesterday, well, Sydney was one, but it was Essendon. They've gone from the bottom to move up into 9th position. We go to that match. That was the incident with Gowers, who unfortunately went off concussed, and I think Hawthorn missed him. He's been a very important player. The Hawks got a goal out of this. This is one of 7 goals to Jason Dunstall for the day, celebrating his 150th. It was a physical day. Here's Brereton and Spawn. Spawn was able to recover and play a pretty important part in Essendon's win. Bad mistake by Jenke. He was actually ripped off the ground after this. O'Donnell had a very good match again. He just chips in with his 15 kicks and 7 or 8 handballs each week, and he kicked a couple of goals yesterday. This man was brilliant. His acceleration, his pinpoint accuracy was a highlight of the match. He's a goal-kicking rover. He plays the corridors, and in many ways he was the difference in that third quarter. He ignited. This was a passage of play that was memorable. Kickett has such vision, and so does Buick, and now to Long, and he was able to finish it off on the run. And Essendon was in full flight. It was terrific to see. And they have some skillful players, and Kickett and Buick amongst them. Well, Brereton, I wasn't surprised he did this on Flood. He caught Flood by completely flat-footed here. He was probably just outside his range, and well, he telegraphed it a bit, didn't he? But he was able to still get around and kick the goal, and we felt at that stage that might lift Hawthorn. But Brereton playing cameo roles at the moment because of his lack of fitness, and he was unable to really fulfil the match. Salmon looked a bit lucky to get that one, but he did kick 6 goals. He played particularly well. He's had a bit of criticism in the last couple of weeks, Paul Salmon, and he responded quite superbly yesterday in the best manner possible. This was the incident right at the end of the match where Dean Bailey was concussed. Dermot Brereton, what looked to be a legitimate shirt front, the siren then going, and I'll talk to Scotty Palmer about Dean Bailey a little later on because he's had a very, very awkward night. Chris Grant is an outstanding player, there's no question about that. He's a player of the future, and so is Footscray, the club. They're going very, very well. He made a goal out of not much there by using his sense, and he's going very well. What about Coleman's big fly there? Galaxy Glen was the little men that did so well yesterday. There's Rock and Liberatore. As Robbo said, a battle of the small men there, and Footscray playing with a lot of spirit and a lot of confidence at the moment. Terry Wheeler was criticised for early in the season, saying, well, we're going to win the Foster's Cup, or hope to, and then we're going to try and win 16 matches, but they've responded. What about Kellett's acceleration? And over the top, and Colin-Nuke, well, someone said he hasn't got the best haircut in VFL or AFL, but he kicks goals, Colin-Nuke, and he's becoming an important player. Had a disappointing season last year. Well, the big surprise yesterday, it was out at Princes Park. Minton, Connell and Wigney both injured. It's bad luck for Sydney because they've been very, very competitive, and I think they're not far off being a legitimate contender. If they can beat North Melbourne on Friday night, they're in with a hope. There's Lawson's goal on the run. Mitchell kicked the previous one. A disappointing result for Carlton. Silvani and David Kernahan were both out injured. Here's Caverton getting the ball on. And Kernahan kicked 4 goals. Kepler, who was one of a couple of players reported, that's a long goal for him. And if Minton Connell can come back fully fit and can kick goals like he promised he would early in the season, there might be a chance. Turley kicked a goal in the first minute last night, and it looked like West Coast, but they were kicking with the breeze, and they struggled to get away from Brisbane all throughout the match. David Bain had a good game again. There was a Dwayne Lamb running into the umpire, Harris there, but they just kept hanging on, Brisbane. They were within a goal for most of the match. Hutton played a very, very good game. He kicked 3 goals and played a big part in Brisbane's performance. I think the thing that was most pleasing was that they hung on, and then when you felt they were beaten at the end with a late goal by Kemp, they were able to come back and get a goal right on the siren. And in the past we've seen them in the situation with Carlton when they looked to have the game won and then fell in a hole. but they were able to keep going. And this was late in the game with Kemp, who played very well in the last minute, getting the goal. What looked to be the seal. I think there was 58 seconds left or something like that on the clock. And then Windsor able to get a mark in the last 20 seconds. He goes back, the siren sounds, and goals for a draw. Terrific match up there last night, very entertaining. And Brisbane, well, it was like a win for them, there's no doubt about that. And West Coast still struggling. Well, the reports both came from the game at Princes Park. Higgins and Kapler, the two players from Sydney, who were both reported. The headlines in the papers, well, Mickey Malthouse is still trying to work out what happened, how come we couldn't beat Brisbane at Carrara. So he's going to go into some sort of a probe there. The Adelaide Sunday Mail is saying there are 6 players under fire for the Adelaide Crows, and surprisingly, 2 of them on the left, McDermott and Jarman. And there's the Sunday Herald Sun, Alan Joyce, saying it just wasn't like a Hawthorn team. I've been around the club for 30 years and it didn't feel like Hawthorn yesterday. Scotty Palmer, welcome. How are you, Scotty?
Terrific, Bruce.
What about Dean Bailey's situation?
A very anxious night by Essendon. After that collision late in the game, almost on the siren at Waverley, he was taken to Dandenong Hospital, Dean, playing his 50th game, I might add. At 8 o'clock he was rushed to the Alfred Hospital, where a lot of tests were done. He had a brain scan and all down there. I checked this morning, and it was about 10 o'clock. I checked with the hospital and the club. He's been moved out of sort of the examination room into a ward now. He's got severe concussion, and the word is that he's okay, no sort of structural damage as it is, but it could be 4 or 5 weeks before he even attempts to play again.
Well,
so it was a pretty big blow there.
Yeah, from Dermy, but as I said, it looked a legitimate shirt front, and bad luck for Bailey. It was his 50th match yesterday, his first for the season. I think he broke his wrist last year. Or the year
I can
before.
imagine how his wife and the club have felt all night, because they've been making constant checks on it, so it was a bit, you know, iffy.
OK, what about Peter Dacos? Is he playing tomorrow?
Well, there are 3 emergencies named at Collingwood, but I checked with Collingwood today and they assure me that Peter Dacos will be lining up, so that's good news for all the Collingwood fans who are a little bit doubtful there at the minute.
Now, what about this 16th team, Scotty? What's the latest on this?
Well, the latest is that in Perth, the word is, my sources over there claim that the AFL are making it very, very attractive for the WA Commission now to form a side for next year. They're talking about giving him a free year as far as a transfer is concerned, up for $4 million, but they might even give that a little bit of a concession rate at about $2.6 million. They've also, the theory is that they might also put a moratorium on players south of the Swan. That involves all those Fremantle players there. They could just give them a sort of a nucleus of a team. And of course, we know for next year the lists are going to reduce from 52 to 48. It means there'll be more players in the pool next year than ever before. So despite what all the rumours and innuendos, whether it's too early, whether it's too late, West Australian Commission, Dr Tannock said yesterday, our theory was 94, 95, but if we can do it in 93, why not?
Now, the big game at the end of the year, what will it be called?
It will be called the Grand Final. And all these rumours, and I'm putting Ron Barassi at ease here because he feels that the media is responsible for calling it the Super Bowl. That is not correct. The League Commissioners called it a Super Bowl in the original sense, but it will always be known as the Grand Final. It won't be an Americanised system.
And what about Carlton-Collingwood, the centenary game? Will that be shown live in Melbourne on television?
Collingwood are hoping now that the league can see its way clear to allow a live television of it, because it's going to be a magnificent match, probably up to 100,000 people. It's due to be started 8 minutes past 8 on Thursday, May the 7th. Wouldn't it be lovely if we saw it live, just like the World Cup, Brucey? Well,
they've got 87,000 of the World Cup final. It was shown live in Melbourne. I can't see why they don't. Keep punching.
Good on you, Brucey.
I'm sure Ron will have something to say in a moment, Scotty.
Probably will.
We'll take a break. The panel after this.
I'll be back.
What is the mystery behind Arnold Schwarzenegger's Terminator?
All is not quite what it seems.
They are the movie's most amazing special effects.
The computer creations that burst to life on the big screen.
How are they done?
Artist literally constructs the image bone by bone.
This is a unique glimpse behind the scenes.
The birthplace of some of Hollywood's most famous characters.
See how movie magic is made.
Trust me.
Beyond 2000, 8:30 Tuesday on 7.
SIO?
It's true. SIO provide a free local taxi to get you home or to your next appointment. It's free with SIO comprehensive insurance.
Don't worry, Mrs. Bennett. We've got everything under control.
Insurance as it should be.
15 teams ready to battle it out in the 1992 season. They're all here in the AFL Football 92 sticker book and stickers. The book, full colour and packed with information. The stickers, collect and swap them. You'll have a fantastic souvenir of the season. All new action shots, great competition prizes, and 6 bonus stickers. All part of your Football 92 sticker book from Select, the ultimate collection. Book and stickers available now.
Neil Diamond's greatest hits, 1966 to 1992, the ultimate Neil Diamond collection. Neil Diamond's 37 greatest songs and a 48-page booklet at the incredible low price of only $29.95 double CD and $22.95 double cassette. At this price, you won't find a better Neil Diamond collection. Plus, check out the music video Greatest Hits Live.
Join the big wheels at Sandown Sunday, May 3rd for the Drink Drive Trucks Super Free, plus HQ Holdens and Trans Am sports sedans. Special family bargain prices and children free. Catch the trucks at Sandown Sunday, May 3rd. Sandown may never be the same.
Here's a news flash from Simmons Wheels. The Mag Wheel Centre with Australia's largest range of mag wheels. Simmons Wheels are now offering mag wheels to approved customers from $10 a week. Yes, $10 a week. Don't miss this fantastic opportunity to fit mag wheels to your car from $10 a week. See Simmons Wheels, the Mag Wheel Centre right now for the best deals on mag wheels and high-performance tyres from $10 a week. Unbelievable. Simmons Wheels, the Mag Wheel Centre, 427 Smith Street, Fitzroy.
Welcome back to the Football Hour. Let's start at the top with Bob Davis. We've neglected him in the past couple of weeks. We've gone down the other end. How are you, Bobby?
I'm very well, thank you, Bruce, but I brought in something for Ronnie complaining about the tyres and that. This is the best sort of tyre I could get you, Ron. Wouldn't be any doubt after your selections last week, too, of those 2 on the Sunday, Ron. You deserve that.
Listen, my selections have gone very well. I've already got 3.5 in this week.
Have you?
3.5 losses.
Having a look at that, I'm surprised that Bob would think you'd get your head through that. It was a pretty small opening, wasn't it? Just a joke. Ron, it was just a joke.
It's not my caper.
Love your tie again this morning, Ron.
Just because I've been in a premiership or two compared with you, Bruce.
You've been a lot more than I've been in, Ron, I can promise you about that.
I just wanted to make the point that there seems to be a lot of planning about football, the game itself from the grassroots up, in each state, but I have yet to see a master plan for the game for the next 5 or 10 years from the AFL Commission. I think it's about time we
Ross
saw
Oakley is
something.
working on a blueprint at the moment.
Is he? Well, it's about time we saw one, I think.
It's a bit like your 5-year plan, Ron.
Mine's only 5 years out.
Oh.
That'd be fantastic
Ross
if we had
Ross
one.
Oakley is working on a blueprint at the moment that I think will be out in the next couple of months.
Because the game has never had one, and I think we've suffered because of that.
Do you, Scotty made a point a moment ago, he brought you into it. Do you think there's been an over-media reaction to the stories coming out of the 16th team?
Oh, yes, but we don't run the media, so football's got to make things work in such a way that only good things that can possibly come out of the game are good stories. That's what football should aim for. Should never blame the media.
I just think silly things have been brought up, like conferences and Super Bowls, emotional things that really won't matter anyway. I mean, we're not going to call it the Super Bowl or make it a conference, and what's it matter? I mean, these are the things that have been discussed in the newspapers during the week.
But some of our footy fans don't read past the headlines, and they see that and they get the wrong impression, and it's a needle's wrong impression.
OK. Robbo, your feelings about a 16th team. Do you think Western Australia is the right place? So there'll be people in South Australia saying we should go first, even though the Adelaide Crows have only been in for a year and a bit.
Yeah, I think it's a bit early, Bruce. I think that we've got to try and consolidate in Sydney and Brisbane. I mean, those guys up there must be screaming blue murder that we're thinking about bringing. I think the 16th team obviously will be good because it would eliminate the bye. That's the only positive I can see about it at the moment.
Is everyone anti the bye? I mean, we'll ask Kevin Sheedy in a moment. Ross, are you anti the bye? I mean, that seems to be a big problem.
The season's so long, Bruce, and the critical thing there is, I mean, Sydney's been there for 10 years and it's still not right. So how can you talk about another side coming in now?
Sydney was right almost on the field though. I mean, they made the finals consecutive years and they looked to be on the way up at one stage and then it fell apart. So it is cyclical, isn't it? I mean, it's like West Coast at the moment. They're going so well. Tim Watson, your thoughts on it?
Well, I just think that you know, some sides have been in the VFL, AFL 30 years before they won a premiership.
Hawthorn was a good example.
Why should we expect a side to come straight into the AFL and win the premiership straight away?
But we're not talking about a premiership, we're talking about it being competitive.
Well, if anyone saw the Bears last night, you'd have to say that they were competitive.
Well, last night, you can't go in one game or perhaps even one season, can you?
Well, that's the problem with football today, though. It changes from week to week, doesn't it?
Yeah, same as my tips.
Well, I think, I mean, the thing that's come out of 1992, and it's very early days, is that there have been so many upsets, and one man who was responsible for one yesterday, though, as he's mentioned in the press during the week, Essendon's form hasn't been as bad as a lot of people have been saying, is Kevin Sheedy. Welcome, Kevin. Kevin, your feelings as a coach on the bye, does it really wreck a season for you? Does it make it very hard to plan?
No, not really. It's not that much of a problem, really. I think probably with the amount of weeks it takes up, it's a concern, but it probably would, when we take the issue of Dean Bailey, gives him a week that it's a match he won't miss, sort of thing. So there's positives and negatives out of both of it, but probably it's where the bye is placed for your team. That can be a bit crucial.
Yeah.
Like if you had a bye the last round, round 24, and you're in the finals and you've got 2 weeks to rest. Now, we saw what happened to Essendon in 1990 with 2 weeks rest.
That's right, with the draw situation. A lot of teams failed last year after the bye. I think we had a huge run, didn't we, where teams kept getting beaten, and that hasn't happened this year. Kevin, do you feel this year you've been unjustifiably criticised? There's been tremendous newspaper stories, radio reports, television stories about you and your time at Essendon being well and truly over. Do you feel as if the people gunning for you left, right and centre?
Oh, around about.
You do? I mean, I just got the feeling last year people wanted you to go to Sydney. I mean, I said to you last year that it was almost as if everyone was wishing, OK, Sheeds, you've had your time at Essendon, now go to Sydney. But you didn't do that. You stayed at Essendon.
Well, I think that, you know, Essendon's going through a changing period of losing great players with a wonderful amount of experience that we're trying to replace, and Tim's one of them. Simon's a 370-game player. He's not going to play another 3 or 4 years. Terry the same. And we've got to develop your Bomber Thompsons, your Salmons, your O'Donnells, your Andersons and Buicks and so forth. So it's just a changeover period.
Kevin, what was the difference between the Essendon side that could only manage 4 goals against Fitzroy for 3 quarters and the performances of the last 2 weeks? Good one against Collingwood and obviously very good one yesterday.
Well, I think that, you know, we probably played poorly at the MCG that day, and to be quite honest, when I look back, I just wonder whether the game against St Kilda, the build-up for the St Kilda match, they hadn't beaten us for 11 years, and we wanted to make sure we could keep winning, and we played it, that was at Waverley, on a pretty hot day, and it really took a hell of a lot out of the players, and since that match we've lightened off training a little bit and taken it a bit differently, and I also felt that probably 4 or 5 of our players have needed the last month of footy. You know, the Salmons had an operation, missed all of our pre-season virtually. Grenvold hasn't played for a year. Anthony Danaher came in a couple of weeks ago, and then we also had probably Wanganeen and 1 or 2 other boys that needed really the 4 last practice matches before the season started. So we perhaps carried 3 or 4 blokes there that we may not should have.
Kev, what has been said to Simon Madden as regards his future?
Well, nothing from a point of view of his future. He's a contracted player at Essendon, and the only situation that's happened with Simon, as we've explained to him, that we just have to reward the younger players in the seconds when they play well, and if Somerville, who had, you know, had 20 kicks, 10 hand passes, 12 marks and 4 goals for, he just had to be rewarded. I mean, that should be the system that every club should work under.
Can Simon be rewarded with good play in the reserves?
Of course he could. There's no doubt about that.
That's been told to him?
Well, of course it has.
OK, Tim, your votes from yesterday's match?
Yes, my votes yesterday were Buick. I gave him 3 votes. I think Essendon perform a lot better when Darren Buick is performing. Paul Salmon came back yesterday, and I felt that he took over a leadership role with 6 goals. And Chris Danaher, who's a very tough player, been around at Essendon for a long time, was a wonderful player yesterday too. Essendon started with real purpose yesterday. They'd injected a lot more run in their team. They had Denham, Buick, Izard, Long and Wanganeen. and Kickett were providing movement all over the ground. Hawthorn hit back in the second quarter, and as they so often do in the past years, appeared to be heading for a victory against Essendon, but Essendon steadied, and just before half-time I felt that they'd swung the game back towards them. In the third quarter, the floodgates opened. Essendon were given too much latitude all over the ground. I felt that Hawthorn could have tightened up on Buick, who appeared to be on his own for most of that quarter. Salmon was instrumental down in the forward line, and really Essendon won the game in the clinches, in the 6-inch department around the packs. They really were getting the ball away in those areas.
Kickett's been given a role recently where he's had to contain opponents. What was he given yesterday?
Well, he started on Jarman in the centre, and he played a bit of in defence also. And I felt that he played a very good disciplined game yesterday.
Dean Wallace, performance from last week to yesterday, much improved?
Yeah, well, Dean Wallace is a player who's been around a long time, and I've always felt that he's had a lot of ability. Last week he played poorly against Collingwood, but he hasn't played much football in a lot of years, and I think Essendon need to persevere with him. He played quite well, started in the back line, then went to the forward line and provided a bit of life for them up there.
Kevin, one of the things that's been levelled against you is, do you accept versatility and adaptability rather than settled positions?
I think that the tactics of football and the strategies in footy in the next 5 years are going to really hold sway, and the coaches' boxes at the present time are really into chess football and strategy, and I think that that's where footy's going to go to get the edge. I mean, like the system now is, and I mean, most of you guys played and coached in the VFL, not in the AFL, and after about 15 drafts with Swabby and Oakley and the commissioners trying to even up the competition, now there's got to be another area that you've really got to extend into, and to me I think it's going to be that sort of area.
You don't think players are automatically versatile because the skills at both ends of the ground are virtually the same?
Well, I tend to think, I mean, look, they've got the ball and you say you've got a defender and get chase, and that doesn't matter whether it's on the wing, the half-back. Exactly that. And from that point of view, every player should be able to be played in different positions. And Greg Anderson is a classic example of last week, why would you play him on the back line? To me, that's not the question. What he has to do is play well on the back line, because Francis Burke, Dickie Clay, Keith Gregg, Robbie Flower, all good wingmen, have nearly ended their careers on the back line, or the team has needed them in the back line. Of course, we lost Kevin Walsh and Tim Watson, who would have been very good backline players for us this year.
Kevin, how do you feel?
How does Tim feel?
It's all Timmy's fault.
How do you feel about Hawthorn? Where do you think they're at the moment? Any drama after yesterday's loss following St Kilda?
I wouldn't think so. I mean, they're just such a great club. They just keep coming back, and you know, everybody's written them off for the last 10 years. I mean, they're just such a terrific club, and they'll pick up the pieces and mould a new period there. That's just the way they act.
Shoods, in your opinion, which should come first, the 16th side in the AFL or 3 on the interchange?
I would think 3 on the interchange.
Because a fellow like Simon Madden could actually still be playing.
I think it is to me, I think the Players Association should really get their act together and try to keep big men in football exactly like what happened to Test cricket when the spinners went out. They should get together and say, look, we need the opportunity for big men to still stay in the game, because if you're not an athlete anymore, you're in trouble.
Okay, it's a fair point. Kevin, I don't think you've been smiling so much in '92, but you should be this morning. It was a great win, and you know, you've picked up the pieces in the last 3 weeks, and the Bombers are, well, they were never out of town, were they?
I think that it's good for our players to move in the direction which they did and play the way we did yesterday. From that point of view, it'll give them an enormous amount of confidence, because it's not easy working in the shadows of 3 great players, of a Watson and a Madden and a Danaher, and the next group of coming through. And I'm pretty happy that they moved that way yesterday and took over a game, and it was interesting the way the votes went.
Okay, yeah, 1, 2, 3 for the Bombers. Kevin Sheedy, thanks for your time. We take a break, back with more after this.
7:30 Wednesday.
Mission control to last shuttle.
Jenny and Sam fall for the same guy.
Is it alright if I call you Sam?
Call me anything. Just call me.
Does this mean war?
You mean you want him to choose between you and Sam? Exactly. He did in the water.
Then at 8, has Tim become a house husband?
What exactly is Dad not doing?
He's not rewiring the vacuum.
Or a house wrecker?
Turn to the new power suck mode.
The funniest new show on television, Home Improvement.
Wednesdays on 7.
So say all of us. So say all of us.
If you want to reduce your fuel consumption, you need an engine with the O2 advantage. In short, you need a Toyota Twin Camry.
The 92-40 season is on for young and old at Hannah's All Sports. Short sleeve jumpers now $46, kids $39. Sheeran A-grade footies a ball terror at $74. Out of the pack, men's sweat tops from $34. Junior sweat tops from $29. Magnificent play and full points again. Men's AFL footy shorts $24 and footy action videos $29.95. Hannah's All Sports, where you always score on AFL footy gear.
Once a year, people rush to Spotlight for our unbeatable Easter sellout. Calico below wholesale, 59 cents a metre. Printed fleecy, great for wind cheaters, slashed to $7.50 a metre. Semco long stitch frames, normally $27.95, now $16.95. Large jacquard towels, $4.95. Clarendon tri-pillows, super value, $8.95. Hessian, half price, $1.50 a metre. Indian cotton ready-made drapes, $10 a drop. Hurry, 4 days only. Don't be the one to miss out on Spotlight's Easter sellout.
Australia's still working. It's the only way to be. Australia's still working. All the world to see. Australia's still
All over the country, more and more Australians are still working. But the only place you'll find the precision and quality of genuine still equipment is at an authorised still service centre. Call 008 804 117.
Well, North Melbourne's struggling and Footscray continues to impress. Yesterday they won by plenty at the MCG. Ross Glendinning, a former North Melbourne champion, was there. And, well, Terry Wheeler's predicted that hopes they might win 16 games. They're on the way.
Yes, he's got some terrific players developing there, Bruce, and Wayne Schumbush described his team's performance yesterday as disgraceful. They were extremely disappointing because it was a game I thought was perhaps their most important in the last 4 or 5 years, and they were very disappointing. Votes, Simon Atkins is outstanding, best on ground. Some players can get 30, 35 possessions and be very ineffectual. He can get 25 and uses 24 out of those 25 so very well. Kicked 3 goals and was easily best on ground. Scott Wynd, I thought, particularly in the last quarter, took some telling marks when North were making a little bit of a charge to settle things down. His quality of work around the ground, these taps, very good. Body work exceptional. And Steve Kolinick, whilst kicking 4-6, had some wasted opportunities, was very, very dangerous, was tagged early by Marty Christensen, who just couldn't get near him, and he was the real danger on the Footscray forward line, and North just could not contain him. It was disappointing for North because their selected side was quite a good one. They had to shift Martin from fullback to full forward. McCarthy was disappointing, playing with it being a forward line, centre-half back. And they just lacked some quality midfield with Larkin being well held. Spargo struggled. Scholl and Wallace had a good duel on the wing, but Scholl didn't quite get into the game. Anthony Rock as their rover was perhaps their best player and just tried very, very hard, but lacked support.
Ross, in the last couple of weeks, Footscray have had Danny Delray and the Hawk on the full forward line. Can they keep getting away with lack of height there?
Well, they complement those two players, Ron, with Chris Grant, who starts either in a pocket or a half forward. They've also got Coleman at centre-half forward, who works very hard. Grant and Hawkins provide the quality and the class. Delray, the competitiveness, and he kicked 7 last week, as you mentioned, and has done the job very well. Ballantyne's playing the reserves at the moment. Charles is fitted in at full forward. They've got some options there, and they play it very well, complementing those big fellas with a Kolinick or a Kellett running downfield or a Royal who comes off the bench. So they have got players who kick goals and are very creative, right?
Ross, North Melbourne are disappointing. I've seen them a couple of times this year. What do you think they lack?
I think they lack a player who has perhaps the sort of player that Matthew Larkin was about 4 or 5 years ago. They haven't got that class running through the midfield, a creator, a generator of play that can perhaps kick goals. Simon Atkins perhaps wraps it up. That's the sort of player they lack.
Ross, what would you do with John McCarthy? I know we're jumping on the bandwagon, but
yeah. He's been
around
there so long. He was there when I was there, which is perhaps an indication of how long he has been there.
It's a long time ago, isn't it?
Yeah, gee, I just thought of that. Yeah, perhaps a silly thing to say. But he's a player who has got all the skills, but just has no concentration and just forgets where he is and is just undisciplined.
Could Larkin become a Simon Atkins? Is he good enough to?
He is, but he just seems to lack that burst of pace that he needs to get away. And he's
Atkins
become
not super fast,
no, but he's got a better. He reads the game better than Larkin does, and he's got better vision of what's around him, and he's more creative. Larkin is a 20 possession a game getter, and he doesn't really have the same quality that he had 2 or 3 years ago.
Gallagher?
Sorry,
I was just going to ask about Gallagher. Was dropped. Shinko came in.
Shinko, he's a player I mentioned. Well,
I was surprised.
I think he could play the two. I think he could play the two. And that might assist. You could play them coming off the bench because Ishenko is not a player who could ruck all day. He took some very good grabs early and got himself into the play, but then ran out of gas, and they had no one to give him a rest.
Harder man.
Is there a new style at Footscray, away from the centre or anything like that?
Well, there is, because Wine's giving them that option, and with such a quality player as Atkins, and you have Kellets and those sorts of players coming through, their creativity is very
away
good.
From the centre.
And their pace in today's game, which is such essential, they've got plenty of it.
Okay, so terrific result for Footscray. They've won more matches than any other team at this stage, and with lots of buys and other things going on with other teams not playing as many, but they've won 4 out of 5. Well, it was exciting last night. A draw at Carrara, 2 goals in the last minute. It looked like Kemp had sewed it up for West Coast. Let's go and join Dennis Committee. Good morning, Dennis.
Yes, good morning, Bruce.
Before we talk about the game, I want to include you in the 16th team suggestion coming out of Western Australia, a second team out of WA. Your thoughts on that?
Well, obviously it's going to happen. It's simply a question of when and I suppose how it's brought about. Amazing the situation in WA at the present time. I think what we've got to say is the WA Football Commission should be seen to be leading this debate. At the present time, quite a few hidden agendas. Mal Brown's done best, actually. He's the unofficial spokesman, or the official spokesman perhaps, for a team that doesn't exist. Gerard Neesham wants to coach. During the week, Mal said that Gerard would be the front runner for the coaching position at the moment. So quite a bit happening. Obviously, the Commission's got to step up, I fancy, and say, well, this is the debate, and maybe take it to a higher plane.
Dennis, the Western Australians tried, I think, 2 or 3 coaches before they took a Victorian over there. How long did a Victorian would take over the second team?
Well, I think that will happen. I think that will happen. If we talk about some of the personalities in this, and this is the problem in Perth, so often personalities become involved, but I think Mal has occupied every position on this debate. Gerard at least has been consistent in as much as he's been anti.
Okay, I'm just wondering if Ross Glendinning would qualify as a Victorian. He played a lot of footy here, but we might talk about that at another time.
No, he's a West Australian.
Okay, so he doesn't qualify.
No, he won at Brownlow. He's a West Australian. We claim him and Mossy.
So you're saying he's not capable of coaching the second team because he's a Western Australian?
Quite capable.
Okay, what happened last night? Give us your votes.
You've got me on a technicality, haven't you? You've worked me into a corner. Marcus Ashcroft, I thought, was terrific. A local junior from Southport, and he's got a very big future. A lot of time, a lot of class. Dean Kemp ran very hard all night. He's having a very good season. One of the few players for the Eagles who seems to have improved this season. And John Gastiff did a fine job on heady. Gastiff, always a role player as far as the Bears are concerned. It wasn't a pretty game last night. Tough game of football. And I think the Brisbane Bears earned a lot of respect, and Robert Wall spoke about respect after the game. He also made the point that 14 of their 20 players had played less than 20 AFL senior games. Now, that figure is quite remarkable, and I think you've got to say the future does look bright. I was impressed last night with Ashcroft, certainly. I gave him the 3 votes. McLucky on a wing, Green across their half-back line, and Hart also in defence. And the oldest man in that group is 20. So I think, as I say, the Brisbane Bears came out of that game with a lot of pluses. As far as the Eagles are concerned, well, their football was disappointing in parts last night. I've seen them a couple of times, obviously, this year. Now, they can't finish a team off. I thought against Sydney, they were in a winning position, should have won that game. They didn't. Sydney did well to come back and snatch it. And last night, you had the feeling the Eagles were always going to win, down to the last, 30 seconds. but they couldn't finish Brisbane last night. Brisbane kept on coming. A real plucky performance by the Bears.
Dennis, is White one of the most exciting young prospects you've seen in a while?
Well, he can certainly jump. He's got a terrific leap. He's one of those players, I know they're very wrapped in him on the Gold Coast. He's one of those players, though, I think, who will be difficult to position in a team. He's not quite big enough, I don't think, to be a knock ruckman. Now, if he can adapt and play in another position, a key position, well and good. If he can't, then he's going to be one of those tweener players, a little bit awkward.
Has Michael Malthouse put too much strength into Lewis, do you think? Made him too offensive?
Offensive could be the key word to the opposition. I don't know where they're going to play him. I think perhaps across the half-forward line. Leave him on a half-forward flank might be the go. I mean, if you think back to the way the West Coast Eagles were playing last year, the players who are making it happen for them are all down. You had Turley, Mainwaring, Matera didn't play badly last night, Sumich up forward. Those sorts of players at the present time, just for one reason or another, aren't getting a kick. And until they come to the party, then the West Coast Eagles are going to struggle in these sorts of games.
What about the captain? How's he going?
Well, he's lived hard, hasn't he? I mean, he really plays the game tough, and I think that's taken its toll. He's a man who likes contact, but obviously if you go through your career running into people, it starts to mount up. And I think John looks a bit that way at the present time. He's not moving all that well. He went to the forward line last night. Obviously, is an inspiring player with the dash and the way he goes in, but by the same token, he's not the player he was a couple of seasons ago. Best and fairest, I think, back in, what was it, 88. He's not that player at the present time.
Dennis, thanks for your time this morning. And
okay.
it was a terrific match last night.
Good on you, Bruce.
Dennis Committee from our Brisbane studios. We'll take a break. Carlton and Sydney after this.
Hear the Madonna, sexy, sizzling, sensational. Soon on 7, the power of Kylie, live in Dublin.
Thank you.
The Volvo 960 is not only a pleasure to drive, with its Connolly leather interior, but with its 6-cylinder, 24-valve engine, it's got power to burn.
Lose them.
Darling, I could be a little held up for dinner. Sarah, take a minute. You did, Mr. Chairman and members of the board.
The ABS brakes mean never having to worry about sudden stops. The unique SIPS side impact protection system means added strength and safety from side impact.
Darling, I will be home on time after all.
The Volvo 960. Everything you didn't expect from Volvo.
Too slow. Your friend is dead.
Don't worry.
It's all right.
It's okay. You need to be working at 1 cardiac...
Enrol now in a St John first aid course, because in an emergency, you don't get a second chance. St John Ambulance for lessons in life.
Kangaroos, wallabies, lions, kiwis, dolphins, swans, sharks, down bulls, ramparts, hurricane, magpies, jumping up into the sky. Panthers, tigers, bears, it's a jungle out there. Mermaids, broncos, giants in front row.
The Lynx, a performance animal at competitive price.
Cougars coming hard and fast, flocks of eagles flying past, cobras sliding round the bend.
But the Lynx wins in the end.
Strong and getting stronger. Classic Kitchens is an old-fashioned firm with modern technology, keeping overheads low to give you, our customers, value for money. Visit the Classic Kitchen showrooms at Hampton and Bayswater. Consult our designers. They're the best in the business. A Classic Kitchen is a kitchen to be proud of. Come and see for yourself. In today's market, Classic Kitchens retain its competitive pricing structure. For value, quality, guarantee and service, Classic Kitchens.
Well, Bobby Davis went to the upset of the day, unbeaten Carlton until yesterday, upset by Sydney at Princess Park. And where did it happen, Bob?
Well, it happened in the second quarter when the Swans really did play extremely well, but I thought Carlton had their chances in the first quarter when I think Bradley just was in front of Kelly for a little while then. Kernham was marking the ball well, but kicked badly. and they did appear as though they were going to go well. But for the votes, I gave, excuse me, one to Kelly, who after the first quarter got right on top and did very well against Bradley, very dangerous opponent. Mitchell kept the ball moving for them all the time, and Big Tunbridge has certainly been an eye-opener to me. This season his form is excellent. He's marking the ball well, doing well around the ground, and he really is playing extremely well.
And, just a few weeks ago we were saying that the big man, there's no place in football for the big guy.
Well, he's certainly dominating the game for them. You'll see here in a moment. There he is there. Now he didn't handball it around, he just gave it a Carroll there. But of course that's one of the rules that Ron brought in, just handing it over. But anyway, you're able. Their team is excellent at the moment with that big fellow, giving them a use to the smaller fellow. To the very quick team. They've picked up 3 boys: Brunton, McGovern, who I think is a Western Australian,
correct, yep,
and Dunkley, and they played very well yesterday. Now whether or not they can continue to do that, but their form over the games has been fairly good.
They've beaten West Coast and Carlton. It looks all right, doesn't it?
Yeah, they do. You mentioned Kelly there with your votes, Bob. Last week I gave him 3 because his work ethic was terrific and tackling. Did he set a standard for his teammates?
Yes, he played extremely well, and anyone that can beat Bradley, you know, after Bradley got a very good start, he's an excellent player. I mean, he changed his game. I think last week he was more of an attacker, was he?
He's around the ground, yes. So he didn't have a specific role.
Yeah, well, this day he's a tagger and did very well.
Now, Bayes has often done it right on Kernahan, Stephen.
Yeah.
Did he play on him yesterday?
He played on him most of the time, and it looked as though if you'd have been probably Kevin Sheedy, he would have been shifted from Kernahan very early in the game, but Buckenara left him there, and admittedly the big fella Kernahan had to go into the ruck. That's a point that you would like to have a word with David Parkin about, because I thought Cavenden was actually doing quite well, and then he suddenly took the only player who was capable of winning or taking control of the game for Carlton in the forward line, put him up around the ground, and they lost their forward line altogether.
Bobby, last week Carlton's small men played very well against North Melbourne. Did they go missing yesterday?
Yes, they did. Apart from Gleeson, who tried very hard, but he's not the quickest player in the world, Gleeson, and he can't really get clear enough to make sure what he does with the ball.
And Carlton are obviously still relying heavily on Stephen Kernahan to help them kick a winning score.
Well, I mean, they did have Silvani and the other. I mean, a couple of their good players are out of the side. But they looked as though they'd read their publicity yesterday, to be perfectly truthful, and thought they would take the Swans quite comfortably. They didn't have any desire for the ball. In fact, I think I said at one stage through the game, when David hits the computer, the word that will come out will be desire, and that's what's missing in their side yesterday.
Bob, they're talking about the dinosaurs going out of the game, but in Tunbridge, he's a guy who can get kicks and handballs and marks around the round, isn't he?
Oh, he's a very capable fellow.
Isn't in that situation, is he?
No, I don't think so at all, and I'm not positive how big Nettlebeck is, but Nettlebeck's he's a very athletic-looking fellow too.
I think there's another guy called Scott Wind who's a big man who's played brilliantly this year for Footscray. So it depends on the way they play the game and their athleticism.
But he's not that tall, is he? He's only about 6'5".
Wind?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, isn't that tall? Right?
No, we're not talking about dinosaurs. We're talking about the 6'7", 8 and 9,
Tunbridge, Tunbridge isn't that tall, is it?
We're only talking about the 7-foot blokes.
Okay, well look, I'll tell you what we should talk about, it's the votes, because I'm running out of time. Last Sunday, Ross Glendinning is a very good judge, gave Kelly, Grant and Del Ray 3-2-1. That was the Sydney Footscray. And Don Scott, who's also a very good judge, Ablett, Hanley, Stone, and what a game Gary Ablett played for his 150th. Now, Tunbridge and Atkins are the joint leaders in the Footballer of the Year. Bradley and Wind, so we've got 2 ruckmen there in the top 4, which is interesting. Jarman, Kickett, Starcevich, Kelly and Kemp, 7, 6 and 4. And in just a moment, Bob Davis and Ian Robertson will take a look at the Marks of the Week.
The Mark of the Week and the Mark of the Year are proudly brought to you by Mitsubishi Motors.
Tall guy,
Here we see the ball. It's a very wide shot, but Chris Lewis took an absolute sensational mark there.
And Gary Ablett, well, what else can you say about Gary Ablett?
Didn't get off the ground.
Peter Foster, a beautiful, just a straight mark, but very secure in his hands.
David Strooper certainly is an acquisition for the Swans and played well again last week.
Mark of the day by Scholl.
Yes, that was Craig Scholl. It was a very nice mark.
Earl Spalding keeping his eye right on the ball, going back with the flight.
And here it is coming up. I think we see Strooper taking... Oh, no, that's Kernahan taking that very easy grab there right in the front of the goals. I think this one he hit the post.
Now, this is not a bad effort by Strooper. Just a little push out. Whether it was legal or not, well, it's questionable.
55 metres, it'll test. Now we're going right up into the square there, and this is Hutton. I'm not sure whether he is it. Well, I suppose it's a mark.
And Brett Heady doing well, just keeping himself in front of Johnny Gastev.
David Hines, just a good, strong chest mark.
That was a good lesson there, wasn't it? Man in front.
Yes.
And Peter Matera taking a good mark, which was the last one. And Bobby, you made the judgment.
Well, I liked Chris Lewis, although it's a bit of a wide shot, but you can see that Lewis has got tremendous idea of where the ball is, right against the post, sits right on top of Kenny Hinkley and brings the ball right down. It's an excellent, spectacular mark.
Good on you, Bob. Let's have a look at the other players that have been voted the mark of the week. So Chris Lewis taking it there, and he joins Gowers, McDonald, Grant, Wiedemann and Lewis. I just looked it up, Ron. Tunbridge is 195 centimetres and Wind is 201. So he's pretty tall. Wind.
What's 201?
Oh, it's about 6'6", I think.
I think you mentioned the magic word, athleticism.
That's it.
That's it.
Peter Moore had a bit, didn't he? And he was pretty tall in his day.
I think Sheed's prepared to persevere with a guy who's got a bit of agility and a bit of athleticism.
We'll take a break. Back with more after this.
You're looking at a couple of loaded guns.
We've got a number 2 in progress from twin number 1.
Wow! Full House and Dinosaurs. Tonight, 7:30 on 7.
At Westpac, we understand that when it comes to looking after your own, there's no place like home. And to make buying your home easier, we're offering you a special low interest rate of just 9.25% per annum, together with one low bank establishment fee of $250. This is a limited offer, so talk to your Westpac manager today, because we want you to be as comfortable with your home loan as you are with your new home.
Join the big wheels at Sandown Sunday, May 3rd for the Drink Drive Truck Super Free, plus HQ Holdens and Trans Am Sports Sedans. Special family bargain prices and children free. Catch the trucks at Sandown Sunday, May 3rd. Sandown may never be the same.
There's something out of this world inside specially marked packs of Kellogg's Rice Bubbles. Free Intergalactica touchdown kits. With 4 great scenes and lots of loony characters, create your very own space adventures. Send 2 Galaxy tokens and you could win a trip to NASA. Start collecting today. Over.
Australia's leading manufacturers of vanity units, Marble Effect, is conducting a public-invited $3 million factory sale. Hundreds of vanity units in either synthetic onyx or marble, shower enclosures, spa baths and spa pools, taps and tap fittings, laundry tubs, everything for the bathroom renovator and builder, even kitchen sinks. Available direct from Marble Effect's $3 million public-invited factory sale this Saturday, Sunday and Monday.
When you buy direct from Marble Effect.
When I buy a van, it has to deliver. And I mean deliver. This Mitsubishi Express does it better than ever. It's got tons of power, loads of space, and all the creature comforts. But at the end of the day, I'm running a business, and I have to make money. That's why I buy Express.
For 4 days only, people rush to Spotlight for the unbeatable Easter sellout. Take up to 35% off Clarendon plain dyed bed linen. Sheets from $9.95. Hurry, up to $120 off Downier quilts. Wintella dress fabrics, a bargain at $3.50 a metre. Fleecy tracksuiting, $5.50 a metre. Easter sellout. Mini Venetian blinds below half price from a crazy $5. Palmer paint pots, $1.65. New dolls on the block, $7.95 and more. Don't you miss out on Spotlight's 4-day Easter sellout.
12 o'clock today. From the creators of all your favourites, the Disney classics you'll never forget. The Magical World of Disney, today at noon.
Welcome back. Chris Lewis took the mark of the week. I wonder who kicked the goal of the week. Ron and Ross to discuss that in just a moment.
The goal of the week and the goal of the year are brought to you by BP. BP, on the move.
Well, here's Andrew Buse. It's a very good kick. He has to get a bit of height in it to dodge the smother and also bend the ball in. Fantastic shot.
Yes, and second goal staying in Perth, Gary Ablett. Mainwaring runs over the footy, gives Adelaide a chance to snap a fairly regulation goal for him.
And here's another regulation snap. plenty of good concentration, bending the ball a little bit, knows where the goals are, dead in front, good shot.
And up in Sydney last week, we'll see Doug Hawkins, great control of the football, knew his opponent was behind him. Quick look at the goals, and for Doug Hawkins again, a very good one. But we've seen some more outstanding goals, I think.
And here's young Jamie Lawson, the black flash, speed there, and a great kick.
Staying in Sydney, Danny Del Rey flies to the mark from behind, nearly takes it, keeps his feet very well, got around one player, and a very quick snap on his correct foot, and one of his 7.
And here's Darren Jarman, a classy player, particularly with the foot, also with the hand, but that's a magnificent kick.
Craig Scholl here, I thought at the time he may have kicked on his right, he came that way initially. That is a pretty good snap on his left foot, a reasonably difficult angle too.
And here's one of the players of the competition, although he hasn't set the world on fire this year, but a great run on the boundary line, bends it in there. It's very hard to kick those goals from that angle after a run, but he's done it.
Yes, and here we see Michael Martin having been shifted too full forward. This is a very long snap, almost on the 50-metre line, so to kick the ball around the corner in that fashion and clear the goal mouth easily.
And here's one of the guys who's the heart of Sydney, Mitchell. Beautiful goal there.
And Paul Pios once more last night had a decent look at the goals there and just directed that ball very well on his left foot. Very good snap.
And here's Scott Waters, under pressure, quick snap, wrong foot, through it goes. Mighty effort. Well, you've got the choice here, mate.
Well, I thought there were a couple of very good goals there, but the one that stands out the most in my mind is Wayne Carey. Ron mentioned that in kicking the goal, had to run along the boundary line first. Not always an easy thing to do, to control the footy after the contest. A good shepherd coming alongside, and he put himself further out to the boundary line too, Ron, didn't he? He didn't run directly at the goals and widen the angle, and then to finish off so well like that was a very good goal.
Yeah, he didn't have a space to run inside, but no, lovely kick, controlled, beautiful.
Okay, so Carey joins Ablett, Lamprell, Gowes, White, and he's the 5th man. And Ross, don't interrupt Ron next time when he's speaking. And the goal kickers, the progress, Dunstall with 29 leads, Lockett with 20, Osborne, Hawkins 15, Jakovic and Strooper with 14 apiece. We better start with you, Bob, because you're the best judge. You've been around longer than anyone else. Today, Melbourne, and rather Richmond and Adelaide?
I think Richmond might win that game.
And tomorrow, Melbourne, Collingwood?
I think I'd have to go for Collingwood and Fitzroy.
Fitzroy to beat St Kilda, Bob?
Yes.
By the way, you're my mother's pin-up boy. I had to pass that on, Bobby. She told me last night. Robbo?
This is the most embarrassing part of the show, I think, Bruce, trying to tip winners. It's the hardest thing for the season. I'd fancy Adelaide. St Kilda, I think, can beat Fitzroy. And I think Melbourne will have a real go at Collingwood. Traditional rivals, I think they'll lift and beat Collingwood.
Ron?
Well, Melbourne will have a go at Collingwood because they play them. They will lift, but I don't think they'll just get there somehow. So I'm going for Collingwood narrowly. I hate really saying that, but Adelaide and I think St Kilda too.
Roscoe?
I'll go with Robbo. Adelaide, I think, will win there. St Kilda over Fitzroy, and I think Melbourne will get up against Collingwood.
And Tim?
Yes, well, I think Adelaide will bounce back this week, and I think Melbourne will bounce back on Monday, and I think that Fitzroy might just have too much for St Kilda on Monday also.
So there it is. Do you agree with us at home? It has been hard picking winners, that's for sure. Thank you, gentlemen. It's been a pleasure. Enjoy the rest of your Easter. There's lots more footy coming up. We'll take a break, and after this, Brooke will be back to bring us up to date with the latest results.